All right. Welcome, wherever you are watching from. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the program. I hope you can see our topic. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are joining us from. While you are joining us, tap the screen, share the video, and invite others to join for this time of enlightenment. That's where we are right now. The time of revelation and the time of introspection, and the introspection on what we've been believing in and what is the reality of our lives. We've been believing on certain things that was introduced to us. We've been told many lies. We've been told things that is actually not the way it is. So that's why we have come again to continue to decipher, to continue to detox, unlearn, learn, and relearn again, because it is quite imperative for us to know the problem, because once you are able to know your problem, solution follows. How light overthrew darkness. That's our topic. How light overthrew darkness and the impact on our physical reality. Because before we proceed, there is something I want to actually bring to you. I want to actually use this story in order to bring your mind to what we are going to talk about and how you will understand it definitely. Because all of us are aware of the story of creation. We are all aware of the story of creation, of course. And that story of creation, I want to actually reiterate on that so that we will understand the impact of during the time of creation and how it is actually affecting our physical reality today. That's exactly what we're reflecting on, because in the cosmic saga of existence, darkness is portrayed as a primal force, embodying mystery, death, and creative potential. Despite its ancient and foundational nature, darkness finds itself maligned and vilified by the radiant brilliance of light. This deception elevates light to divine status, while casting shadow of doubt upon the intrinsic value of darkness. Of course, so many of us are well aware of how darkness was relegated to the bottom and light elevated to the highest level, because we presume light to be divinity. We presume that light, is divinity, that light is God, and at the end of the day, darkness was downtrodden. Darkness was downtrodden, and the reality of this, the downtrodden of darkness, is actually what we see in our daily life today. And if we are going to solve this conundrum, we have to understand, we must have the in-depth understanding of how it all began. Darkness was overthrown. From the time of creation, we know very well that everything was created, darkness was not created. Darkness is seen as primordial, which means darkness is God. Light is supplementary, light is secondary, darkness was God. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth, and there was a darkness in the face of the deep. The angels of the Lord begin to hover around the darkness. They never complained. They saw darkness as the image of the Creator. They never saw it as evil. But today we were told that darkness is evil instead of light, because darkness was relegated whilst light replaced darkness. Even though light is artificial, darkness was natural. You can turn off the light, but you will never turn off darkness. Darkness weaves a tapestry of cosmic mysteries and revelation, inviting cosmic beings to explore the unknown and embrace the richness of obscurity. In its veiled embrace, in its veil embraced, darkness fosters introspection, contemplation, and transformation, offering a sanctuary for cosmic growth and enlightenment. Look at that. Darkness is actually the only thing that brings your mind to rest. When you see, during the day, when the light, shine upon the face of this planet Earth, you will find you being energetic. And after the light, when the light settles, comes darkness, and darkness now bring you to rest. Without that darkness, your brain might not figure out that it is time for you to rest, like going to sleep. That is the importance of darkness in our lives, and we've been praying every power of darkness shall die by fire. We've been praying these prayers without understanding the impact of this prayer, without understanding what exactly are we doing. What is the meaning of every power of darkness die by fire? Does it make sense? No, it does not make sense, because darkness was God. From the beginning until now, darkness has been God, because darkness was not created, but light was. The reason why I kept on coming back to this topic is for you to understand the importance of decolonization, for you to understand the importance of us unlearning and relearning and continue to learn until we understand exactly what we've been through and how we were relegated to the bottom of where we are today. The cosmic drama between darkness and light unfolds tragically as light deceitfully vilifying darkness, because light came into existence, overshadowed darkness, and began to vilify darkness to a point that darkness even believed that themselves that they are the devil. Light was introduced, and at the same time, light began to deceitful, vilifying darkness, which was before the light. And as light began to vilify darkness to a point consistently, because consistency is always the key. As light began to vilify darkness, reminding darkness that you are nothing, reminding darkness that you are the devil, reminding darkness that you are nothing without me. And at some point, darkness succumbed and believed that it is nothing. Darkness succumbed and believed that it is nothing without light. Darkness gave it to light, that light became God. Even though darkness was not created, but light was. And at the end of the day, darkness was vilified, darkness was overshadowed, darkness was relegated to where it is today. The false narrative perpetuated by light portrays darkness as malevolent and unworthy of cosmic reference. The light made darkness believe that it is not worthy, that darkness accepted to be dethroned. Darkness accepted to be dethroned, because if you give birth to a child today and continue to tell that child you are nothing, you are the devil, you are worthless, you are this, you are shaping the mind of such child that when they grow up, they will only see themselves as failure. That was what light began to do from the inception of its creation, even though darkness was not created. Darkness, it was from darkness that light came forth. Light began to tell darkness, you are nothing, you are nobody, You are malevolent. You are the devil. You are the boogeyman. You don't need to be here. You need to be downtrodden. And at the end of the day, light began to shine and say, I am the creator. I am the God. And darkness succumbed. That's what is in our present reality. That was how it unfolded. Because the false narrative perpetuated by light portrays darkness as malevolent and unworthy of cosmic reference. By transcending this false dichotomy, cosmic being can embrace and appreciate the harmonious nature of darkness, which holds within it the pillar of all creation, because everything was created by the creator of all and nothing created the creator, which suggests that darkness is the true image of the creator. And we must revive that narrative. And that narrative is what we are here to revive. All you need to do is pay attention as we delve into the aftermath of downtrodden darkness, aftermath of overthrowing darkness. That's where we are going today. Let's bring it to our present physical reality to understand exactly what is going on and how we have relegated our creator to the zero and how we have embraced his creation as God. In our physical reality, we call it a legacy of division and struggle, colonialism. The lingering shadow of colonialism, a dark chapter in human history, left lasting scars on society around the world, reshaping cultures, power structures, and intra-group relationships. The impact of colonialism on indigenous people was profound as foreign powers sought to undermine the greatness of pre-existing civilization and impose their own systems of belief and governance. This deliberate effort to diminish the value of native cultures and elevate the superiority of the colonizers led to a legacy of oppression, exploitation, and division that continues to shape societies to this day. Understanding the impact of overthrowing darkness, understanding the impact of colonialism, understanding that the people who are called darkness today have been there for million years. People who are called light today have been there for 1,000 years, for thousands of years. But people who are called darkness has been there for millions of years. They are primordial, they are natural, up until light appears. When the light appears, light began to instill began to inform darkness that you are nothing. You can't do it without us. We are the God. Therefore, you need to step aside. And upon doing that, people of dark origin began to relegate themselves, began to give in to whatever the light brought to them. And the light took advantage and continued to sell lies, manipulation to them until they were downtrodden and relegated to where they are today. The impact of colonialism in Africa is actually what we are experiencing in our daily lives. Think about it. Just like we said while we are telling the story of our cosmic reality, we talked about to the extent where light was vilifying darkness to an extent that darkness gave up and succumbed to the vilification of her by the light, and the darkness was relegated. Think about the aftermath of colonialism today, where the people of Africa began to believe that they are failure, where the people of Africa began to see themselves as failure, where the people of Africa began to see themselves that they cannot govern, where the people of Africa began to see, good in other people, but see evil in their own. That is the effect in our physical reality. The downtrodden chose to remain down because all their lives they've been praying and they've been following that which they knew nothing about. All their lives they've been believing that darkness is the devil and they were called dark people. All their lives they were praying against the image which represent primordial, which represent God, that image through which they were created. Every spirit of darkness die by fire. All their lives, they've been seeing darkness as the devil, even though you cannot create this darkness to them, because darkness was the image used to make them. Let us make a man in our own image, and the image was darkness. Heaven and earth was created. There was darkness in the face of the deep. The angels hovers around it, never complained. Never complained. The angels never complained until light came and light began to complain. Darkness is evil. Darkness is this. Darkness is that. To an extent, everything good turned into light. Everything bad turned into darkness. In our physical reality, we are sometimes calling upon other people to come and govern us because we can no longer govern. When we see our own people who are actually dark-skinned, we see betrayal. We see betrayal. We see villain. We see the devil. We see untrustworthy. But when we see people who are of other colors, we see God. We see love. We see trustworthiness. We see everything good. But in ourselves, we see everything bad. I might be doing that, seeing you as my fellow color person, my fellow black person. I see you as the devil. The reason why I am seeing you as the devil is not that I am seeing you as the devil. In the reality of it, it is me seeing myself as the devil, but I'm seeing myself in you. Because if you love yourself, you will never see anybody who looks like you as the bad guy, as the bad person. If you love yourself, anything that looks like you must be loved by you. But today, the aftermath of the downtrodden darkness in the cosmic reality is what we see in our physical reality. The downtrodden nation, the downtrodden continent. When we look at Pangaea map showed us that Africa gave birth to every continent that exists in the planet Earth. Africa gave birth. In Pangaea map, Africa was called a supercontinent that consists of Europe, South America, North America, Australia, Madagascar, India, even Asia, and Eastern Europe. All was under Africa. As time goes on, Africa began to move them to their destiny, to their destination. moving them to their destination. That's how you saw everything began to move. You saw the map begin to, divide, and everyone was sent to their destiny. Africa was the motherland, the cradle of human civilization, but those that Africa gave birth to turn around to tell Africa, you are the darkness, you are the devil. Therefore, you must be downtrodden. And they came back to destroy and downtrodden their parents. And today, it remains so. And ever since, Africa have never found their feet. And this is exactly the reason why it is important for us to understand the impact of light to darkness. It is important for us to understand the reason why we pray against darkness, because the people who downtrodden us, the people who actually, relegated us to zero, made us believe that light is God and darkness is the devil. Even though we know very well that we, the dark nation, we were natural, we were primordial. Nothing created us, but they were created by us. Think about it. From the cosmic reality, from the cosmic point of view, in the beginning, darkness was there. Heaven and earth was created. Darkness was there. Nothing created it. But today, we are vilifying the nature. We are vilifying the nature, praying against the nature. Why can't we be downtrodden if we are downtrodden ourselves, by ourselves? What am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? I am trying to remind you that everything that you see, the aftermath of colonialism and the impact of colonialism, and how we have actually created a room for colonialism to take place, even though we had everything it takes for us to rebuild, for us to be where we're supposed to be. But today we are not there because we decided to embrace other people's ways of life. We have decided to accept defeat. We have decided to not to stand up and defend what we own and what we are. We are image of the creator of all. Darkness was not created. Light was created. The day we begin to understand such is the day we begin to take pride on ourselves, and the day we will actually understand the importance of love and unification, the day we are going to come back to our original self, and we are going to take over the world once more. All we need is every piece of darkness need to return back together in love, that they will share a vibration that will attract their origin, which is the creator of all. It is only love that is going to bring back that. Because if we understand what is called quantum entanglement, everything is connected with each other. Remember that darkness is, everything in this world is connected to darkness. Everything in this world is connected to darkness. But at some point, light began to bully darkness to the extent that darkness began to see himself or herself as the villain and succumb to the bullying of the light instead of fighting back. Because light didn't, do you know the reason why darkness succumbed? Light did not come as the enemy. Light, first of all, came as supplementary, energy. Came as a supplement, came as a friend that darkness gave it, opportunity and chance to be. in existence, because without darkness, there will be no existence of light. When darkness gave it a room to stay, then light began to find loopholes, and now saw that emotion is number one loopholes that the darkness possess. Emotions. They use your emotions against you. They use your emotions against you. They now begin to introduce new things that you are not actually, it's not like you don't know it, but they introduce it to you because you know that these things they are introducing to you is actually not practiced by you, but you begin to see it as something great because they appeared as a friend. That's why you see the adage that talks about the devil appearing in sheep clothing. And at the end of the day, you begin to succumb. When you succumb, they decided that no, we have understood their weakness. We're going to now intensify. As they intensify, we continue to fall. And when they actually, know every nook and cranny of our weakness, they brought, what is called force. Introduction of new way of understanding the Creator through religion. Because if we understand what religion did to us, it took away our humanity. It ripped us our pride. Everything that made us great, everything that made us natural, primordial, it ripped it apart, and they were replaced by the activities of the light, telling us that the light is the only way, that the light is the way of truth, but our way is the way of the devil. Therefore, we must follow the light. Knowing that we can create this light, we can put off this light, but light cannot create us, light cannot put us off. And we believe now that light can put us off. Therefore, we join force and we continue to follow. Instead of being followed, we are following. Yes, they introduce now a savior which is original, which was primordial. They introduce him to light in light. Just like the one Jesus we know, they introduced him as light, even though he is primordial, original. And we began to embrace. Once we began to embrace that light, we forgot that darkness is can be equated to God and not light, because you cannot equate light to God, because God created that light, but darkness was not created. Darkness was the image of the Most High God. And at the end of the day, we succumb, we follow suit, and we left everything that makes us great behind. And they now realize that it is time to attack, because they have separated us from our Creator. They have made us to break away from our Creator, from the original. Now we are nothing. We are nobody. They came in and they decided to actually take everything that we possess, including our consciousness. Including our consciousness. They began to turn brother against brother. They began to use the trigger in the hands of brother facing the same brother instead of facing the enemy. The trigger is now against brother. When they were able to achieve that, it was so easy for them to do every other thing that led us to where we are today. One of the insidious tactics of colonialism was the association of light with divinity and darkness with evil or inferiority. This metaphorical dichotomy not only serves to justify the subjugation of indigenous people, but also instill a sense of self-hate and worthlessness among those who were deemed dark by colonial standard. The imposition of foreign belief and value eroded traditional ways of life and fostered a climate of greed, selfishness, and inequality where a few power over many. Where a few had power over many. Look at your political leadership today. What is going on within your leadership space? The leaders will come up to tell you they will do this when you elect them into political space. They will do that. They will build road. They will build hospital. They will give you this. They will give you heaven on earth. Once they are there, you know what they do? They begin to display the self-hate. Because one thing that they were able to achieve is to instill self-hatred amongst the black race. Self-hatred. Once they were able to achieve this self-hatred amongst the black race, when I see you as my fellow black person, I can never trust you. I will see you as the enemy. Just like what we see happening in West Africa in 1969 when Ghana, okay, the story of Kwame Nkrumah, when he became the president of Ghana, he called people to come into Ghana to invest. People like Nigerians went into Ghana and invested. When Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown, another Western-supported president took over the place and decided to vilify the Nigerians and send them packing, even taking all they have invested in Ghana. At the end of the day, did it solve the Ghanaian problem? No. It actually exacerbated the Ghanaian problem to an extent that Ghanaians were not able to manage those things that they have taken over. At the end of the day, Jerry Lawrence actually came into power and found out that what the new president after Kwame Nkrumah did was the reason why everything went back to the state of limbo. And Jerry Lawrence now called back Nigerians to come back, and of course it was Obasanjo who is always, you know, Obasanjo, if you talk about true Pan-Africanism, you talk about Obasanjo, but the problem he has is that he has never, you know, displayed that in the country where he is born. Now, Obasanjo now rekindled that relationship. At the end of the day, in 1980s, Nigeria reciprocate. Nigeria decided to say, no, we are going to now send Ghana packing. That was called, you know what it was called? It was called revenge. It is aftermath of colonialism. Because after Kwame Nkrumah, there was, you know, a law that was introduced, which is called the Alien Laws that was introduced. The laws that is backed up by the Europeans. At the end of the day, that's what pushed that guy to actually evict the Nigerians who invested in their country. Now, at the end of the day, they saw the impact of evicting Nigerians out of their country. Today, Nigeria supplies Ghana electricity, right? Now, at the end of the day, in 1980s, Nigeria decided to do, you know, pay back what Ghana did. That's why you see a bag today called Ghana Must Go in Nigeria. If you know any Nigeria, tell them, or you Google a bag called Ghana Must Go today, you will see it. It's a bag that Ghana was used to actually move away from Nigeria in the 80s. Just because it is a revenge, and at the end of the day, did it solve Nigeria problem? No. Did it solve Ghana problem? No, it exacerbated the problem both in Ghana and both in Nigeria. In the 69, Ghana began to fall. In the 80s, Nigeria sent Ghana packing for revenge, because that's what, something like the light actually set up all these things, so that at the end of the day, you will begin to fight yourselves. You will begin to see the enemy amongst yourselves. You will not see the enemy among those who are creating this problem from the periphery. When Nigeria sent Ghana packing, believing that it is the problem, that the Ghana became a problem, and in the name of revenge of 1969, at the end of the day, do you know what? We know that Ghana dealt with Nigerians very well, and they dealt with them decisively, because they even abandoned their investments and properties to move. And they started feeling the heat, because, no country will be able to be without the help of another, especially when they are close to each other. The help of another within their cycle is actually what makes you a great country. Now, at the end of the day, Nigeria began to see themselves, no, Ghana is been here, and they sent Ghana packing. They sent Ghana packing. And when they sent Ghana packing, did it solve Nigeria problem? The answer is no. Nigeria problem began to exacerbate. To an extent, you see that Nigeria is not one country. Even though there is what we call Nigeria today, they are not one country. Tribal war is in Nigeria today. It is not as a result of Nigerians not loving themselves, or as a result of anything, but the fact that you have seen a Ghanaian man who is the same as you as an enemy. There is possibility that you will see your fellow Nigerians as enemy, because one thing we should understand is that the impact of colonialism, or aftermath of colonialism, renders us to begin to see the enemy in ourselves. Instead of seeing the bigger picture, we began to see the enemies amongst ourselves. Even though we were living in harmony pre-colonialism, we have kingdoms, we never had borders. We had kingdoms, we never had borders. Kingdom of a kingdom of a kingdom. That's what we had until the rise of the light to downtrodden the darkness. We began to see enemy amongst ourselves. Evicting Ghana did not solve Nigeria problem. Rather, it exacerbated Nigeria problem. Ghana evicting Nigeria did not solve Ghanaian problem. Rather, it set back Ghana economy up until today. The impact of evicting Nigeria from Ghana. Of course, the problem we have today is that our younger generation does not have access to history. The younger generation does not have access to history. It has become our problem, and until we solve this problem, we will continue to discuss this issue. Now you see what happened in Rwanda. After colonialism, you see people begin to see themselves. Of course, I believe there is no other African nations that is a lot there, because their economy was not okay. That's why there was no much African countries that was in Rwanda that they were going to blame for the failure. But instead, they started blaming each other. They started unaliving each other. Which actually resolved to genocide. We know about it. You go to Congo, you find people hating on each other, black on black violent. They are unaliving each other. And I believe that if there was influx of other African nations inside Congo, they will be blaming those African nations, and they will not realize that blaming those African nations, it is seeing yourself in them. You are automatically blaming yourself. That is what you see in Congo. Wars upon wars, upon wars, upon wars. Because darkness at some point began to see themselves as the devil. That's why it began to hate themselves and began to embrace the light, began to pray against themselves, began to see themselves as the witch, as the enemy, as the person who is hindering my growth and my opportunity. That's what darkness at some point began to see in the cosmic reality. And in our reality, we began to see each other as a prey, as the enemy, as a prey, as the enemy. When you elect a leader, what they do is continue to lie to you, turn you people against one another. That's what African leaders does, turning people against one another. I gave you example of Ghana. I gave you example of Nigeria. I gave you example of Rwanda. That's exactly what brought about genocide there. That is exactly what's happening in Congo today. That is exactly what is happening even in Ethiopia, Somalia. Of course, they love those Tutsis and Fubei. They love violence. So at the end of the day, they will turn you against one another. And you will be believing that now this person is my problem. Once we get rid of them, we will be fine. And you go to South Africa today, it is the reality there. You know, if I haven't seen it unfold in every other African country post-colonialism, that is as a result of the impact of colonialism, I was going to hate South Africans for that, but I have seen it unfold in every place. And at the end of the day, it's not going to be the solution. It has never been a solution. Rather, it exacerbates the problems. That's why you go to South Africa today. I joined a program today where they were talking about a lady who is contesting is it Miss South Africa, and they say the lady has Nigerian origin, and one parent is Nigeria, one parent is South Africa. Therefore, she is not qualified to be in the competition. And we've seen a lot of issues online where Nigerians, South Africa, Ghana, all Zimbabweans, all of them, South Africa see them as problem. The reason why they do not have a job, the reason why they are not moving forward, and I believe there is a political figure who actually introduced this narrative to them, because that's always how it always started. Just like in Ghana, the president who overthrew Kwame Nkrumah introduced the alien law that there are all these foreigners who invested there must leave. And things get out of hand. Obasanjo now helped to reconcile, gave Ghana electricity in a low price, even though Nigeria didn't have electricity, but Ghana has electricity. At the end of the day, the same thing unfolded in Rwanda, Congo. The same thing is happening today in South Africa, because among all these nations I've mentioned today, South Africa is one of the recent, one of those who had their freedom recently. I believe 1994 or 95. So they are kind of junior brothers to those. So And then when I see people from the West, people from the Southern Africa, although the geographical locations is what we're going to talk about, it is a topic for another day, but let's continue to mention it the way you know it. It's people from the Southern Africa like Zimbabweans, Malawi, Lesotho, etc. When you begin to see South Africa blaming them and calling them all sort of names, there might be truth, there might be people who are committing crime from these nations, but at the end of the day, it is not the reason why a lady who is a South African citizen, because I used to believe that South Africans were calling on foreign nationals to go home and build their country. I used to believe it was that was the problem. I used to believe, and if it was that, it is not a problem, because at some point people must go and fight for their rights in where they come from. The people have to fight for their rights where they come from. You cannot continue to run away from one person ruling over millions of people. So at the end of the day, what actually changed my mind, or what actually exposed me to the truth, the real reality of South Africa, is what I saw in a program today where an African lady who is contesting for Miss South Africa is being, bullied by South Africans, that he is not this, he is not that. Then I went quickly to Google to check the candidates of this Miss South Africa. I saw different race. I didn't see only black people. I saw white there. I saw other race there. And I saw this lady they are talking about blending in with other black South Africans. You cannot even say that this is this lady, or this is the real South Africans. You can't actually pick up to know which is which. But at the end of the day, that lady, it becomes a topic of the day, because he is the same color as South Africans. And what I can say there is that it is not about the lady, it is about self. It is about us hating ourselves. But seeing this hate on another black person, that's exactly what we are, I saw it to be. It is not the lady that they are hating on. It is themselves. Because if it is about the lady, they're supposed to actually talk about those people of European descent that are part of this beauty pageant, or part of this candidate contesting for Miss South Africa. It is not about that. It is about self-hate. And if every other Africans who understood what happened between Ghana and Nigeria, what happened between Rwandans, what is happening in Congo, what is happening across Africa, you should begin to educate, not to join force and vilify. Education constantly, because that is called the aftermath of colonialism. Aftermath of colonialism. You cannot continue to only blame those South Africans who have not seen the light. All you need to do is to educate them. We can understand that history has been scrapped from the curriculum of African education. There is no history. So you cannot blame ordinary people. You blame the leaders, because the leaders are the ones who could be instilling this mindset in a way to escape their failure. Because they will tell you no. They will tell you, just like you see in every other countries, they will tell you no. These people are the reason why you cannot get a job. They are overwhelming us. They are committing crime. If leader is telling you that there are people committing crime in your country, the leader is complaining, he is incompetent, because the job of a leader is to create security that will curb crime in every country. Security that is proactive, and create, measures that will enable to tackle every crime that you are complaining about, instead of being there complaining. Because once you are there complaining as a leader that, oh, it is the people from Zimbabwe, it is the people from Nigeria, it is the people from Ghana. I'm not saying they are not doing what you are saying, or they might not be doing, they might doing. I'm not actually on that, but the leader does not have to complain. The leader needs to understand how to introduce. The leader must introduce the measures that will stop all this crime from happening. It is the duty of the leader not to come in and promote self-hate. Because every ramification in every platform I have come across of this vilification, it is all about the Africans being vilified as the only people who are committing crime in those countries. Only Africans. I don't see every other nation but Africans. And Africans, if you are indeed criminals, that is actually, very, very bad. We know that we've been vilified. We know that we've been called the devil. That's why I started with this in the cosmic perspective, how light was introduced and darkness was downtrodden. And at some point, darkness began to see itself as the devil. Therefore, it must do devilish things to survive, which is very bad, which is very wrong. But the self-hate must stop. Because if South Africa manage to actually evict every other African in their country today, believe me, they will start fighting their own fellow South Africans. And they will not fight the European descent. They will fight themselves. They will begin to see the problem they are seeing on Nigeria, on Ghana, on Zimbabwe, on Malawi, or whoever. They will begin to see it amongst themselves. They will begin to, see the tribe. They will say this tribe is actually overshadowing everything. This tribe is now doing this way. This tribe has been in power. This tribe is the problem. That's what will be after you must have evicted all these people. We follow the trajectory. We follow history. We judge present with the past. It happened in between Ghana and Nigeria. It happened in Rwanda. It is happening in Congo. So all these things we must follow, because the problem is actually a system. It is not people. It is system. Until we solve this system, the problem persists. If we cannot solve this system, we can never solve this problem. If I can tell you today for free, if every foreign nationals or every African nationals that are in South Africa begin to leave that country, South Africa, today, it will only exacerbate your problem. Because if you look at it, you will find out that the people of European descent, they appear as if they are not fighting African countries. They appear as if they are embracing them. Why? It could be that they have a plan. I can't tell, I don't know. But these people you are trying to vilify, they are your siblings. Every migration of Africa, especially the Bantus, started from the heart of the map of Africa. Every migration, they share the same parents, all started from there. But that is a topic for another day, as former colonies gained independence and shook off the yoke of former colonial rule. New challenges emerge in the form of neocolonialism. Neocolonialism. That is as a result of neocolonialism that we began to see each other as the problem. Guys, if you are here following, kindly tap the screen. If you are following, kindly tap the screen. I see TikTok is giving us warning. Kindly tap the screen. So, as the former colonies gained independence and shook off the yoke of a former colonial rule, new challenges emerged in the form of neo-colonialism, a systemic way of oppressing you that you may begin to see yourself as the problem and not seeing the problem as the problem. This subtle form of domination perpetuated colonial power dynamics through economic exploitation, cultural imperialism, and political manipulation. That is the aftermath of physical violation, and the erosion of dignity left a legacy of mistrust, resentment, and division among formerly colonized people. That's what we are going through. Resentment. We resent ourselves. We begin to see the problem within us instead of seeing the problem for what it is, for the truth of what it is. Let us force our leaders to reintroduce history into our curriculum. History is very important. History is very important. If we can get back history into our curriculum, I believe we are going to do better. We are going to do better. We are going to do better if we can reintroduce history. We're going to do better. Because the repercussions of colonialism and neocolonialism are evident in the fractured relationship and conflict that persist in many post-colonial society, the animosity between neighboring countries like Ghana and Nigeria, the tragic genocide in Rwanda, and the inter-group tension in South Africa are actually poignant. They are actually evidence or example of the deep-seated division and injustices that continue to plague communities long after the end of former colonial rule. If we understand that it is all about colonialism, and we need to actually find a way to heal. How do we heal? Love yourself. Look at your color, look at your skin color, call yourself a primordial God. Love yourself, because you cannot extend love without loving yourself first. You can never extend love without first loving yourself. Because to address the enduring fact of colonialism, society must confront their past, which actually brings the importance of history into our curriculum. Our education system must include history. Must include history for us to acknowledge the historical wrongs and work towards healing, reconciliation. And work towards healing and reconciliation. But we must understand the historical wrongs before we work towards healing and reconciliation. This process requires fostering dialogue, promoting understanding, and striving for justice and empowerment for all affected communities by recognizing the legacy of colonialism and its ongoing impact on social, economic, and political structures. Society can begin to dismantle the division legacy of the past and build more inclusive, equitable, and harmonious future for all. And the only impediment that the society have today to achieve this dream is The leadership. The leadership. Because the leadership brings division. When a leader ascends office, the throne, they begin to bring division. They begin to dance the dance or the drum beat of IMF. They begin to enact policies that was conveyed to them by the IMF or Development Bank of China or World Bank. They begin to make their policies based on the recommendation of this financial institution, and at the end of the day, the people in the ground zero begin to feel the heat of all these decisions that they are making, and at the end of the day, people begin to blame each other without understanding where the problem emanated. It has been the challenges that we are facing as the people of Africa. Our leaders are being sponsored by the external influence, and our leaders are being led by the external influence while they are leading you. And in so doing, they will never cater for you. They will never have you, have your back. Even though they are the people who are supposed to make decisions that bring security, they are the people who are supposed to make decisions that elevate the economy, they are the people who are supposed to make decisions of inclusivity, they are the people who are supposed to bring the country together, they are the ones dividing the country. The problem is not individuals. The problem is leadership. Leadership. Leadership solves security issue. Leadership solves financial or economic challenges. Leadership brings unity. Leadership brings infrastructural development. Leadership is the God that's supposed to give you all these special amenities. Make them available and create equal ground for opportunities for the ordinary people on the ground. Empowerment coming from the leadership. Because if the leadership cannot do it, believe me, you will continue to fight each other, believing that the problem lies amongst yourselves. The problem is not amongst yourselves. Crime is everywhere in the world. But the only thing that curbs crime is, policies and the enforcement of the law. That's what curbs crime. The leadership cannot continue to blame is crime, but they have access to stop crime. Go to United States. The crime there might be, might be worse than the crime in every African countries. But do you see them blaming anyone? No. They blame the leadership. Go to UK. They blame the leadership. Go everywhere. They blame the leadership. Come to Africa. They blame one another. They blame one another because they decided that the only way we can now introduce a new way, a systemic way of dealing with these people is to bring a person who is black on the outside, white on the inside, and introduce this person to them, and they will begin to deal with these people to an extent that they will now begin to bring division that will destroy the people. While you are busy fighting each other, they are busy looting everything that is in the coffers of the nation. While you are busy fighting each other, they are busy looting everything in the coffers. That is the problem of the whole of African countries. Leadership. Leadership. If there are true leaderships in every other countries in Africa, there is no way you are going to have other countries coming to your countries and be committing crimes. And there is no way you will see those crimes because enforcement of the law will never allow you to see those crimes, because they will fight this crime that it will no longer rear its ugly head. And the shadow will never be casted against you or upon you. Leadership. Leadership. In all ramifications, the problem we have as black nations is leadership. If we have a revolution that will take those white on the inside and black on the outside our leadership positions, we are going to get it right. Until then, the shadow of colonialism will continue to loom large over many society, casting a long shadow of division, mistrust, injustice. By confronting this legacy of colonialism and working towards healing and reconciliation, society can begin to overcome the deep-seated division and injustices that continue to haunt them. Only through acknowledging the past, history, very important, acknowledging the past by showing them history. This is what happened. This is how we are going to navigate. This is how we are going to prevent. And we must begin to promote understanding and striving for justice. That's the only way society can move beyond the legacy of colonialism and build a future based on equality, dignity, and respect for all. If not, we are going nowhere. But the most importantly is history. Very important. Leadership. Leadership. We need. Because if we begin to resent ourselves within ourselves, what about our siblings that was taken out of Africa by force as a result of slavery and colonialism? What about them? How are we going to unite with them? Because if we forget them, we are more like those who took them or who sold them. We are worse than them. We must recognize that there are these people still out there that we need to also reintegrate when we build equitable, reputable, and equal society. We don't even need to call on them. They will come back. They are our people. They are our siblings, and we must unify with them. But if we continue to have this type of leadership, in the global stage, they vote against you. And you cannot blame them. You can't blame them. That's why you see in the big world like United States, any task that they want to do against the black nation, they will use a black person. In the military, they will use a black person. Because your black leaders in Africa, they are not willing to do the right thing. They are there for the money. They are there for the looting. They are there because there is no accountability. Until you make it ungovernable for them, they will not stop to loot. If they need medical checkup or medical care, they go to Europe, where another man like them built, but they cannot build it. What about the ordinary people in the ground zero? When they are sick, they will be unalived by their sickness because they have no access to adequate medical care. And we close our eyes. We are watching these people destroying our future that they cannot be part of. Because many of you, when you look towards American politics, you say, no, these are old people. If these old people are getting it right, why can't our old people get it right? Dude, it's not about that. It's a decoy. The old people you find in European and American politics is a decoy. They are conservatives. American politics, American leadership is not really run by those people you see, those figures you see. It is run from the underground. So those people you see is just a decoy for you to continue to recycle failure in the name of old people into your political space. That's exactly what it is. Until you begin to understand that the old people who are conservatives from your own end, who went through the impact of colonialism, went through the harshness of colonialism, and they are now suffering from a Stockholm syndrome. You believe that a man who suffers a Stockholm syndrome is going to help you to save, to acknowledge the challenges that you are facing. No, you need a bright mind. You need someone who never faced this impact of this physical colonialism. You need someone with a fresh mind that will rise up, who does not even know any agreement made by anyone, who is going to shake up the status quo, who is going to disintegrate the status quo and start afresh. That's what you need. You see, in Burkina Faso, a young blood, he shook the status quo. He started afresh. He is excelling. He is doing great. Everybody loves him. He's only 35. But you believe that it is those people, they are conservatives, because they are the ones who face this tyranny of colonialism. You believe that they are the ones who is going to save you. No, it is you who never saw colonialism that is going to save them, because you have seen it through history. You've seen what it does. And now you don't even need to fear any external influence or peripheral influence. You just need to do what is right. It is only the young generation that can achieve that, not the older generation, because the older generation, almost all of them, are suffering from Stockholm syndrome. Until we realize that, we aren't going anywhere. Until we realize that, we are not going anywhere. That is the reality. That is the reality. And that is the reason why I started this with the cosmic perspective, the creation of light overshadowing the darkness, which is primordial, which was the image of God. And the light came by to overshadow the darkness and made everything believe that darkness is evil. When we can actually see in the absence of darkness, there will be light. Has no consequence. Light is inconsequential in the absence of darkness. Light can be turned off. Darkness can never be turned off. That's where it brings you to the melanin that you possess, which makes you the primordial of creation, which makes you the great, which makes you natural. You are not a hybrid, you are natural, which actually makes you to survive in any environment that you find yourself, which is supposed to make you to embrace yourself and appreciate yourself and love yourself. Because when you begin to love yourself, you will know what to do to protect yourself. You will know what to do to protect anybody that looks like you. You will never pull a trigger on anybody that looks like you. You will never hate on anybody that looks like you. Because what you are doing is you are hating yourself without you knowing. That's exactly what it is. The people we call leaders, they are damaged. It is easy to repair or to guide a young brain than to repair the old brain. The old brain is damaged. It cannot be repaired. It is not repairable. But the younger ones, you can guide them. You can guide them. You can mold them on the shape that you want them to be. That's why this leadership by old people have to stop for Africa to breathe. It must stop. They are uninformed. They are uninformed. It's not like we are disrespecting the elders. It is time for them to go for pension. They must go on pension. We need to take care of them. They don't need to work anymore. They must be there so that the younger generation takes care of them. People go on pension at the age of 60. Why at the age of 80, 90? Look at Cameroon. Paul the Bear. He's almost dying. He's still in the position of leadership. Look at Rwanda. How long has he been there? What do you call is it Rwanda or Uganda? Uganda. He's been there